Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Carnival by Daylight. Welcome in. Today, I'd like to talk to you guys all about maps. We recently had the release of the new Trickster map, a long awaited, long requested map for the Trickster. Of course, we had a new Survivor come out, and that's got me thinking with everything going on. And I know there's been a lot of conversations about the game in general. But what I want to do is I want to address maps specifically. I want to talk about new map ideas for Dead by Daylight. I really want to say that part of the core of the identity of Dead by Daylight is the realms we run around in. Yes, there's a lot to be said about the game balance, gameplay, killers, survivors, perks, but all that doesn't mean anything if we don't have really cool maps to run around it. Something that's really eye-catching. The thing about the Trickster map is it catches your eye. There's always something to see, always something going on, from the unique little details to the little gotcha moments, jump scares, and I really think we could harness that to bring in some really cool maps to Dead by Daylight. I know maps aren't exactly profitable for Dead by Daylight. You really can't sell a map pack because that doesn't make any sense. Because if people don't buy maps, then obviously they'd have no access to it. That would be really weird for the community to deal with. But I want to talk partially about how we can introduce maps, how we can get licensed maps, and why we should be looking at licensed maps without necessarily a killer or survivor attached to it, what that could mean for Dead by Daylight, and the kind of crowds it could bring in. First off, I'd like to talk about one that I personally have really wanted in Dead by Daylight for years now. I've mentioned it a few times, and I know Behavior can do it because they do have ties to Disney, and that is, of course, the Haunted Mansion. One of the coolest attractions in Disneyland, Disney World, is the Haunted Mansion. It was a staple of my youth. I loved going through it. Every time I went to Disney, I would visit the Haunted Mansion. And just thinking about the layout of the Haunted Mansion, how cool would that be as a map? Very similar to RPD. You got this really cool kind of aesthetic. You could throw in all the little nods to the Haunted Mansion layout, to the story, to the ride. And obviously the Haunted Mansion doesn't. I mean, it kind of has pretty undefined villains. Of course, there was the Eddie Murphy movie. There was the more recent one. Of course, the story just kind of based around the bride killer Constance Hatchaway. And while I not necessarily say we should do a full Haunted Mansion chapter, but certainly Constance could be brought in maybe a skin for the nurse. I might maybe because ghosts, teleporting nurse. And you could have some more nods, some more skins given to the survivors and some of the killers to really venerate the Haunted Mansion. I think tying it to skins for collabs and some unique visuals really kind of helps get a cool map, which we give to the players, and then have really amazing skins to go along with it. Doesn't always have to be a killer survivor attached to it. Though we could make an argument for Constance, an axe-wielding ghost, pretty neat. But that is one way we can get maps in without having to make them revolve around chapters. So we can kind of revisit even older stuff. The next one on my list is kind of a split because I have a hard time deciding which one I'd really want more. But I would have to say that perhaps taking the swamp realm and turning one of them into the cabin for the Evil Dead, the iconic cabin from the movie The Evil Dead. Really change it around, really bring the cabin in, the underground portion, the cabin could be part of the main structure, kind of really revitalize the swamp in a rework, because I'll get to reworks in a moment. But I think the Evil Dead cabin would be really cool. Barring that, I think bringing in the castle from Army, Evil Dead third movie would also be a really cool scenario. You could keep it in the Bordeaux universe. It'd be really nice to revisit the Evil Dead chapter, kind of bring a little bit more in, not just Ash Williams. Of course, they could negotiate more skins, some cooler stuff for the bringing and the rework of that chapter. The next I would say is probably what I would like is the mall from Left 4 Dead 2. That mall level, those who know how evil that mall level is, and bringing that into Dead by Daylight would be pretty cool. A multi-level, 2, maybe even 3-story mall, be ridiculous. And it could be, obviously there's multiple paths going up and down, so that's the issue. Really isn't the mobility. I understand indoor maps, especially multi-layer ones, can be a pill for a lot of killers, but I think that talking with us, just bringing that in would be cool. I don't have high hopes for it because I understand the Steam's agreement with Behavior to get Bill in, or Valve's, I should say. So, not high hopes, but would love to see it. One that isn't attached to a license that I would like to see is exploration of liminal space. Just the absurdity of a map that is just visually disorientating, weird, kind of out there and unusual. I think a liminal space map could hit pretty big, especially if we tie it to a unique visual update or maybe a collab chapter involving liminal spaces. Think of some of the few back rooms and stuff like that. We could, even if it's just costumes, skins, again, just a liminal space one would be pretty cool. What I would like to see is a pirate island, specifically from the Houndmaster's backstory. The Overlap Island, a realm kind of caught between the real world and the twisted entity world. Something that showcases what the entity does to a realm, how it kind of bleeds over and changes no more foliage to something horrific, something that the entity kind of sculpts. It'd be nice to see an island where we see that transition. And plus, it would making it an island would mean we would actually be able to possibly see some water effects, something for the Behavior team to kind of wet their teeth on, so to speak. I think it'd be really cool. Next one, now, mind you, being the purveyor of the Carnival Day Eldridge, me saying I want a carnival map isn't just me saying that because I run a carnival. But think about it. How cool would it be? We get a little bit of that at Father Campbell's Chapel, but imagine a full map. Broken coaster, a merry-go-round that might actually kind of slowly turn, that allows survivors and killers kind of like limited access, because sometimes when it's turning you can't get on the stage, sometimes you can. Just a hall of mirrors would be kind of really cool. Again, something that would really push the limits of what we have now and make it interesting for killers and survivors. The next one I would say is I would like to see this one. I do want to attach a new survivor with, and that is Carl, because we need the superstore from Ghostface's reveal trailer. I would love to see a giant Costco, Home Depot, whatever kind of style mega store, Walmart themed massive store turned into a map. And considering the size of some of those stores, it's not unthinkable. It'd be a great way to introduce a long fan requested survivor, Carl. Come on, we need him. We want that wonderful man. Ghostface may have killed him, but as we know, death is not an escape. Make it happen. We want to see it. If not the Super Center, then please just give us the man. Bring him in. Come on. Next one is I'd like to say, of course, a lot of people may mention this. I'd like to take the Walking Dead map and turn it into a full prison or the full hospital map. Or maybe kind of a mixture of the both. Like the entity just took the two locations and smashed them together. So you have a portion of the hospital kind of crammed in with the prison. So you could kind of get both iconic locations. It would definitely make an interesting kind of mixture. It would showcase that the entity doesn't respect boundaries. Like, all these things exist in two different places. They just grabbed two of them and slammed them together. I understand probably time constraints, stuff like that, kept it from coming out beforehand. They got a few art assets done. Couldn't do a full map, so they released what we had, or what they had. And that is honestly just not enough. They need more. We need more for Walking Dead. Come on. We could also give a chance to introduce some more legendary skins. Maybe another survivor. Maybe another Carl. Maybe. But we'll see. Uh, and I'll keep with the licensed one here. I think the RPD could use a Resident Evil 9 skin overhaul. Give us ruined RPD. On just replace it with the ruined aesthetic. Give us like change up some of the walkways, the pathways. Maybe have some of it more crumpled, so it creates new runarounds, new ways to get up and down. Maybe new holes, new accesses to outside. Give us ruined RPD, and give us Tofu as a skin for Dwight. No idea how it would work, but come on, we want Tofu. Who doesn't want Tofu? Maybe we can add it. Maybe get a new Resident Evil chapter. Maybe make the survivor Grace from Resident Evil 9. There's a lot we could do with it. The skin for Wesker. Come on, everyone loves Resident Evil. We've had 2 chapters, and I'm pretty sure we're not done with Capcom's Resident Evil. So just getting a reskin of RPD wouldn't be that. I don't think would be that terribly hard, but it would be nice to see a slight rework to get a new version of RPD, celebrating everyone's love for the new game. All right, and let's say for the next 2 ones are not licensed maps, but just ones I personally think would be really cool. I would like to see the mines, the Macmillan mines. Bring us into the mines. Show us the place where all those workers died. Everyone got collapsed in, got trapped. Bring us into the mines. We had the entrance, but it's caved off. Bring us inside the mine. Give us a mines map. We could do a nice like Trapper style. I mean, it doesn't have to come with a Trapper rework. I'm not suggesting rework the Trapper, but what I'm saying is let's give the poster boy of Dead by Daylight some love. Give him a brand new map. Introduce another map in his realm. Make it the mines. A pseudo indoor underground map where we're running around trying to survive a mine system. Tell me that wouldn't be cool. And nextly, let's say the next one is I'd like to explore the void on a more permanent basis. I'd like for an idea of the void islands, a mixture of maps connected by portals, kind of like with Vecna's Tower, where there are kind of like pathways and doorways that are physically able to go up and down the islands, plus ways to teleport between islands. I think exploring the void outside of the Halloween event would be pretty cool. Give us a chance to really see that realm shine and kind of showcase. We could showcase stuff that didn't make it to other maps or isn't, were projects that were failed or weren't complete, and they don't, or maybe they don't. Assets that don't fit in a specific map can go there and say, look, this is the entity's dumping ground. We get to explore the entity's trash pile. That would be pretty cool. And lastly, of course, I want to talk about 2 reworks. First one I kind of mentioned was the Hags, the swamp. People have been complaining that the swamp needs rework. It does need reworked. It's one of my personal least favorite maps to go run around in, whether I'm playing killer or survivor. I mean, the map layout is kind of cool, but visually it just needs an overhaul. It just needs a little bit touches, tweaks, maybe a little bit of repositioning. It wouldn't hurt too bad. Maybe bring the swamp village that they had planned but scrapped. You got to introduce that as a new realm, kind of as a full rework of the swamp, and definitely maybe as a tribute to reworking the Hag. I mean, while I would love to see Trapper get some touch up, the Hag definitely needs a pass. Her powers, her add-ons, everything needs a new coat of paint. Something to kind of refresh and get people interested in the Hag again. Absolutely, let's take some look at the swamp. And finally, let's please rework Freddy's maps. I'd like to make a suggestion. Take one of the many, like the 5 different Freddy maps, and make Badham in the Dream Realm. Have it signify that you're in the Dream Realm, already, like in the map. Like have it be like exaggerated with the boiler room kind of shooting out aesthetic flames or looking twisted and nightmarish. We got We got Badham, but let's get Badham at its worst in Freddy's power, represented, pulled out of the dream realm, and placed right there, mocking Freddy. I know that there's probably a lot that you can and can't do with Freddy as a license, but it would be nice to rework the Badham maps. At the very least, rework their structures so they're a little bit more fair, especially for killers that are kind of slow for balancing. But it would be nice to get a visual overhaul of some of the elements. All right, my friends. The very last thing, and I kept it to the end, no hintings. But before I get to this last bit, I want to say thank you guys very much. Please like and subscribe, follow for more. I am going to be trying to put out more videos, I promise. I know it's been slow going. It's been like at least a month or two between videos, and I'm really trying to wrap that up. So kind of voice opinion. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Every little bit helps. Really helps get me to move these forward, showing the interest in these videos. All right. And with that, let's say last one. This is a cry for action. We've created a killer. We've created a survivor. Let's do a map contest. Let the community design a map. Let the community bring forth a new map. We pick the realm. We pick the appearance. The community puts together the aesthetic, maybe kind of suggesting main building, shack location. Let the community build a map together. We've done killer. We've done survivor. Let's do a map together. What do you say, behavior? Let's do it. Let's bring it out. Let's go for it. All right, until then, everyone, thank you so very much. You can find me on, of course, Twitch, Discord, and, of course, here on YouTube. Thank you guys very much. And until next time, everybody. Bye-bye.